Good morning, students. Today we will deal with chapter 3rd of your 12th standard, Journey to the End of the Earth. Now what this chapter is about, this is written by Tishani Doshi. So journey to the end of the earth means a journey to the earth's end, which is Antarctica. So here end of the earth is Antarctica. So let's know what she is trying to say in this chapter. If you want to know more about the planet's past, present and future, the Antarctica is the place to go. So what happened here, beta? Here the writer is saying by a famous quote, there is a famous quote which is described in this chapter, that if you want to know more about the planet Earth, its past, present and future, then only one place is there, that is Antarctica. Early this year, who is I? I is Tishani Doshi. Now she is explaining her experience. Early this year, I found myself aboard a Russian research vessel. Russian research vessel means a ship which is on the research purpose. The Academic Soleshki, this is the name of that research vessel, heading towards the coldest, driest, windiest continent in the world, that is Antarctica. So she is going towards Antarctica, and now she is explaining her journey. My journey began 13.09 degree north of the equator in Madras and involved crossing 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, 3 bodies of water and at least as many ecosphere. This is the total journey that she has travelled. By the time I actually set foot on Antarctica continent, I had been travelling over 100 hours in a combination of a car, an aeroplane and a ship. So this is the total combination how she travelled. So my first emotion on facing Antarctica's expansive white landscape. Now students, you can imagine how Antarctica looks. Snow, everywhere snow white. So it was completely white landscape and uninterrupted blue horizon was relief. So it was free from pollution, nature was very good there, and it was like white landscape with blue sky. Followed up with an immediate and profound wonder, profound, very deep. So she was shocked to see that scenario, wonder at its immensity, its isolation. Why is it isolated? When we go through the world map, we see that Antarctica is exactly the end of the earth. It is at the very bottom, totally isolated, but mainly at how there could ever have been a time when India and Antarctica were part of the same land mass. So what was the reason that she was shocked? She was shocked because once history says that once India and Antarctica, just to understand this chapter better, go through the world map. See where is India and at the last where is Antarctica. How is it possible that earlier, where in the past history says that both were the part of same land mass. So this was the reason that she was shocked to see all these things. Now this chapter is in 2 parts. First part is part of history. She will tell us about the history, how India and Antarctica was the part of same land mass and how they get segregated, what happened, and everything she will explain here. Part of history, 650 million years ago, a giant amalgamated southern supercontinent Gondwana. So students, near about 650 million years ago, there was one continent named Gondwana. Did indeed exist, exactly, this was existed, centered roughly around the present day Antarctica. Things were quite different then. Humans hadn't arrived on the global scene and the climate was much warmer. So climate was very warm and humans were not there, hosting a huge variety of flora and fauna. Flora and fauna, vegetables and animals, nature and animals. So for 500 million years, Gondwana thrived means slept. But around the time when the dinosaurs were wiped out and the age of the mammals got underway. Mammals, you understand, humans are also mammals. So what happened? Dinosaurs were wiped out. When dinosaurs were, wiped out from the earth and the mammals got underway, the landmass was forced to separate into countries. What happened with the landmass? That it was separated into countries, shaping the globe much as we know it today. And now as we study the world map, that shape occurred. To visit Antarctica, how is to be a part of that history, to get a grasp of where we have come from and where we could possibly be heading. So Antarctica is the study as a very beginning, writer is saying here we can analyze from where we have come, what happened that this Antarctica formed, a vast gap between these continents came, what was the reason. It is to understand the significance of Corydalian faults and Precambrian granite shields. These are the something related to geography, how these mountains, how these Corydalian faults and all that, you know, earthly things took place. When you think about all that can happen in a million years, it can get pretty mind-boggling, very shocking, how much changes our earth faced. Imagine India pushed northwards, jamming against Asia to buckle its crust and form the Himalaya. Now just imagine how this land mass is, you know, shifting. India is moving towards Asia, and when this collision happened, then all of a sudden this Himalayas formed. South America drifting off to join North America, opening up the Drake Passage to create a cold circumpolar current, keeping Antarctica fridge, desolate, and the bottom of the world. This is how all these activities took place. Now she is saying, for a sun worshipper South Indian like myself, 2 weeks in a place where 90% of the earth's total ice volumes are stored in a chilling prospect, not just for circulatory and metabolic function, but also for the imagination. So she is saying, just imagine, I am from a place where I am a sun worshipper, sun is there and atmosphere is not that much chilling. 90% and at Antarctica, 90% the area was covered with snow. So just imagine how I survived there, because the climate was totally changed. So there were many changes metabolically also and mentally also. It is like walking into a giant ping pong ball. Ping pong ball you all understand, because Antarctica is nothing only snow. So it's like a ball of snow. Devoid of any human markers, no trees, billboards you know, holdings that we put alongside the road of any advertisement of anything, buildings, nothing was there. So that area is totally devoid of human activities. You lose all earthly sense of perspective and time here. The visual scale ranges from the microscopic to the mighty midges and mites to blue whales. These midges, mites, all these are insects. These are very small. To blue whales are very big, and icebergs as big as countries. These are the some of the things that we find in Antarctica, that icebergs were as big as countries. Now you can imagine. The largest recorded was the size of Belgium. So one iceberg is as big as a complete country named Belgium. So you can imagine how big it is. Days go on in surreal 24 hours, austral summer light and ubiquitous silence. Ubiquitous silence, complete silence, interrupted only by the occasional alvecan or claving ice sheet. So there is only one noise, and that is of calving or the spreading of ice sheets only sometimes, otherwise there is no noise there. It is an immersion that will force you to place yourself in the context of the earth's geological history, and for humans the prognosis isn't it good. So here the writer is saying that human activities has changed many things human activities has changed, and this is the reason that Antarctica is that much isolated and that much covered with ice. And now what will happen in future, she will explain. Human impact, what will happen? Human civilization have been around a paltry is merely, hardly 1200 years, barely a few seconds on the geological clock. So here the writer is saying that our existence on the earth is merely a few seconds on the earth. In that short amount of time, we have managed to create quite a ruckus, nonsense, etching our dominance over nature with our villages, towns, cities and mega cities, that we have disturbed the earth's system in a short span. The rapid increase of human population has left us battling with other species for limited resources, that we all know that how we are struggling, how we are consuming, ecosystem is disturbed. And the unmitigated burning of fossil fuels has now created a blanket of carbon dioxide around the world, which is slowly but surely increasing the average global temperature. So this is the human activity that is increasing. Climate change is one of the most hotly contested environment debates of our time. This is very you know very well that during your speech competitions and debate competitions you are having this topic, that is increasing global warming, threat of global warming. Will the West Antarctica ice sheet melt entirely? This is the question that arises in our debates. Will the Gulf Stream ocean current be disrupted? Will it be the end of the earth as we know it? Maybe, may not be. So we are raising this question and we are not sure what is going to happen. Not just because it's the only place in the world which has never sustained a human population and therefore remains relatively pristine. Pristine is clear, pure in this respect. So this is the only part of the world there is no human survival there, and the writer is saying this is the reason that this is very pristine, very clear, very pure. But more importantly, because it holds in its ice cores 500,000 years old carbon records trapped in its layer of ice. One more thing is there, that the bottom of the Antarctica layer ice, there is 500,000 year old carbon records. If we want to study and examine the Earth's present, past and future, Antarctica is the best place to go. How this is teaching past? This is teaching past that how India and Antarctica was the part of same landmass, and how it happened that Antarctica drifted towards the end of the Earth. Present is that how carbon dioxide is lying under their ice, under its icebergs, fine. And future, what will happen if the temperature increases and these icebergs melted, then what will happen to the world? So this is how we study its present, past and future. Students on ice. So why she has gone there? Why the writer has gone there? Is she alone? No. Student on Ice, the program I was working with on Shulesky, aims to do exactly this by taking high school students to the end of the world. So what she has taken, she has started one program, that is Student on Ice, and she has taken many students there, some students there, to teach them and providing them with inspiring educational opportunities which will help them foster, develop a new understanding and respect of our planet. So she has taken her students there, young generation, to teach them what is going to happen with our earth, what we are doing, how we can remove all these things. It's been in operation for 6 years now, headed by Canadian Geoff Green. So Geoff Green is the main head of this program, who got tired of carting celebrities and retired rich curiosity seekers who would only give back in the limited way. The Student on Ice, he offers the future generation. Who is the future generation? Young generation of policy makers a life-changing experience at an age when they are ready to absorb, learn, and most importantly, act. So, what she is trying to do? She is trying to teach them, these policy makers, that how we can act, how we should act, and how we can remove all these challenges. The reason the program has been so successful is because it is impossible to go anywhere near the South Pole and not be affected by it. Now she is saying we have successfully reached there because we almost went to the South Pole and we didn't affect it. We are very fit and fine. It is easy to be blase about polar ice caps melting while sitting in the comfort zone of our respective latitude and longitude. It is very easy to think by sitting here, as we are reading the chapter and we are assuming Antarctica. It is easy to assume that, but when you can visibly see glaciers retreating and ice shelves collapsing, you begin to realize that the threat of global warming is very real. But when you hear the voice, when you hear the melting icebergs, you will realize how real the threat of global warming, the experience that they had in real is much more worse than the imagination. Antarctica, because of her simple ecosystem and lack of biodiversity, you know that there is no human activities, so their biodiversity and ecosystem is very simple, is the perfect place to study how little changes in the environment can have big repercussions, results. Now take the microscopic phytoplankton. You all are science students, you know it very well. Those grasses of the sea that nourish and sustains the entire southern ocean's food. These single-celled plants use the sun's energy to assimilate carbon and synthesize organic compounds in the wondrous and most important of process called photosynthesis. So this microscopic phytoplankton is the grass there that helps in the photosynthesis. Scientists warn that a further depletion in the ozone layer will affect the activities of phytoplankton. So what they want, that if this temperature increases like this, then this will affect the activities, which in turn will affect the lives of all the marine animals and birds of the region and the global carbon cycle. In the parable of the phytoplankton, there is a great metaphor for existence. Take care of small things and the big things will fall into place. So what writer is saying, very simple formula she is giving, just take care of the small things and big things will ultimately be yours. Now another part is walk on the ocean. At the last, what she is saying, in the first she told about this history, then human impact, and now her experience. My Antarctic experience was full of such epiphanies, but the best occurred just short of the Antarctic Circle at 65.55 degree south. Now she is saying the best moment that I had there is 65.55 degree. What happened there? The Sholaski had managed to wedge herself into a thick white stretch of ice between the peninsula and the Tadpole Island, which was preventing us from going any further. So their ship, research vessel, struck between these two islands. The captain decided we were going to turn around the head back north, but before we did, we were all instructed to climb down the gangplank and walk on the ocean. So the captain suggested that they have to get down of the ship and they have to walk. So there we were all 52 of us. Now we are having the exact number, they were 52 in number. Knitted out the cortex and glares. Glare is something, you know, on snow when there is a sunlight and reflection that take place. Walking on a stark whiteness that seemed to spread out forever, and there is reflection of white everywhere. Underneath our feet was a meter thick ice pack, and under that 100 meter of living, breathing salt water. So she was walking on the ocean, a kind of. In the periphery, carabiner seals were stretching and sunning themselves on ice floes, much like stray dogs will do under shades of a banyan tree. It was nothing short of a revelation. Everything does indeed connect. So she is saying that this ice and below that this salt water and phytoplankton and many things are there. These are interconnected with each other. 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, 3 bodies of water and many ecospheres later, I was still wondering about the beauty of balance in play in our planet. How would it be if Antarctica were to become the warm place that it once used to be? Will we be around to see it? No. Or would we have gone the way of the dinosaurs, mammoths and woolly rhinos? These are some of the, existence that is not now present. Who's to say? But after spending 2 weeks with a bunch of teenagers, they are 252 in number and maximum high school students were there, who still have the idealism to save the world. So they are young enough, they are future policy makers, so maybe they are having some ideas to save our earth. All I can say is that a lot can happen in a million years, but what a difference a day makes. So she is saying a single day can make a difference. If we start saving our environment, start thinking about the environment, then a single day can affect. So in short, what you have to do, just prepare the questions here related to what is the human impact on the nature. There are some journal questions, human impact, and this student on ice program and how she was walking on the oceans. These are the some journal questions that are arised in this question, in this chapter, and the role of phytoplankton and all that you have to study. Let's take the questions. How do geological phenomena help us to know about the history of mankind? Here you have to explain the structure, how India and Antarctica was the a part of same landmass. Another question, what are the indications for the future of humankind? It is not at all good. Why? Because of this global warming. Another question of this NCERT, the world's geological history is trapped in Antarctica. How is the study of this region useful to us? You can explain the whole system, present, past and future. What happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what can be happened in future. So all these questions I have provided you in study notes also. Just go through it, and if you have any doubt, just comment me in the comment box.